Honestly, if I was picking the team this weekend, I think I'd pick him. Like, this is just not true. West Ham are a weird team. Alexander Isak might be sniffing fitness. Right, hello everybody, welcome back to the Golden Sky. I'm Tom, and today it is the match preview for Liverpool v West Ham tomorrow at Anfield. In this video, at the end, also, I will do a quick reaction to the Champions League draw, which I believe you should have all seen today. I'll give my thoughts on that as well, so stay tuned for that if you want to hear my thoughts on that as well. Without any further delay, let's get right into the preview. Alright, so you guys know the drill by now. We're going to start off with my predicted 11 for Liverpool in this one, and we've got Alisson in the goal, as always. We'll go left back first this time. We've got Kirkes, Van Dijk, Kanate, and I've got Joe Gomez at right back in this game. Gravenberch and McAllister in the middle with Szoboszlai ahead of them. Mo Salah on the right, Hugo Ekitike up front, and Cody Gakpo on the left. So, talking points from that predicted 11 then, and talking points for Liverpool's team in general in this game. There's a few of them, actually, for a change. There is a few of them. As always, right back is a point of debate. It's a discussion point. I've gone with Gomez. He's the fittest right back, naturally, or semi-naturally at least, if you in Gomez's position, that's actually fit at the minute for Liverpool. So Frimpong is back in training. He has trained a few times, but for me, not fit enough in Slot's eyes, I'm sure, as well, to start the game. So I think he'll be on the bench. Good to have him back. He was very good until he got injured for about a month there when he was playing right wing. I thought he was playing really well. So good to have him back. I've gone with Gomez rather than Jones or Szoboszlai. I mean, I think Szoboszlai is going to play in the middle in this one. He's definitely going to play. Jones, I'm not sure will play. I think he was a little bit poor against Forest and obviously started the game when he wasn't going to. So I do wonder if Slot thinks, well, that was kind of your start and you didn't really impress. He ended up starting in the middle, moved to right back where it was maybe a bit better. But I think Slot might go with the more orthodox Gomez at right back in this one. Now, Gomez's last two Premier League starts have both ended in first half substitutions. This guy really is made out of glass, and like, I'm talking molten glass that is like melting away from the windows. He is fragile, this fella. He really is. Can he get through the first half? Can he get through a full game? Or at least 60 minutes, and then we can bring Frimpong on or put Jones on. Just that's all I'm asking for, Joey Sideburns. Just 60 minutes, please. That's who I think will start at right back. Elsewhere, let's talk about the midfield. So McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, I'm pretty confident that's going to be the midfield. 99% confident. What I'm not confident about is the positions of the three of them. So last season, we pretty much always saw this makeup I've got on the screen now. And for the benefit of those just listening, I've got Gravenberch sort of as the deepest, more on the right-hand side. McAllister on the left, a little bit more advanced than Gravenberch. And then Szoboszlai as the 10, who acted more on this right-hand channel. That was what we did a lot last season. Now, we know Wirtz is out for this game. That is confirmed by Slot. And he said he doesn't know exactly when he'll be back. So hopefully it's not any longer than this game, but definitely out for this one. So we won't have Wirtz to play number 10. And what we saw against Forest is that it was actually Curtis Jones who started in Wirtz's position, which was number 10. And then Szoboszlai was pushed there later in the first half. But then in the second half, we swapped again. And we saw Szoboszlai actually play the deepest, and McAllister was the furthest forward. And when we played a diamond this season, we've seen McAllister, who act as the deepest one in the diamond. And when we've done that, we've often had Szoboszlai on one side. It could be this left side. Gravenberch on the right. McAllister as the deepest one. We've seen that. We've also seen, obviously, this season where Szoboszlai, like I said, against Forest, has been the deepest. Gravenberch the one in front, and then McAllister maybe the number 10. So, what will it be? Tough to say. I mean, could it be Gravenberch the deepest, Szoboszlai just ahead of him, maybe, as like the midfield to McAllister still as the most advanced? I'm not sure. I mean, we're at home in this one, so I'd like to think that a lot of our players will just be given more freedom to go forward and maybe interchange a little bit more. But it's certainly something to pick up. If it was up to me, what I would want, is I think I would want Szoboszlai in this 8. Gravenberch is the deepest. Szoboszlai is the 8. And I guess that leaves McAllister as the 10 because I think Szoboszlai is best as a number 8 and he's our best player. So I think he needs to play number 8, in my opinion. But if I was not going to do that, it would be McAllister dropping back with Szoboszlai going forward as the number 10. I just want him closest to goal. I think especially at Anfield when we should have easy possession of the ball. We'll talk about West Ham's stats soon as well for possession. I think getting close to the goal and he can affect the game. And I have actually transferred him in on my FPL as well. So there is that. The only other talking point then, I guess, is Rio and Gamoa. The front three, I've not changed it. It's Gakpo, Ekitike, Salah. It's been this way for a little while now, and I think minus Ekitike, who himself has not been amazing last couple of games, potentially him and Salah both suffering a little bit from some Ramadan fatigue. That could definitely be a factor at this time of year, definitely. So you've got to think about that when you factor in their performances, but they've not been amazing. It's not lighting the world on fire by any means, and there's a player called Rio and Gamoa who has been getting a lot of buzz, especially after his cameo against Forest. So the idea is, should Rio be starting instead of Gakpo, really, is where we're at. So, or maybe even you might say Salah. I mean, he was good on the right wing, Rio, against Forest in those 15 minutes. So you could even say Salah at this point. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I'd be absolutely shocked if Rio was to start in this one. But Slot was asked about this, and he said, if you want to be more realistic, Rio's playing time has improved massively in the last few weeks, and there's a reason for that. He has developed as a player and become better. That's what he said. So nice to hear that Slot thinks Rio's become better and developed. That's obviously what we want to hear. His playing time has improved massively. I don't know about that, so I decided to look into Rio's playing time a little bit. So I was doing some research. Rio has made 9 appearances so far in the Premier League this season, which is 7 more than any other player under 18 in the Premier League. There's a couple who've made 2 appearances. Max Dalman is one of those, the one at Arsenal. Now, he's made 9 appearances, but they only come up to a cumulative total of 89 minutes of Premier League football. So we know Rio's played in the Cups. We know that. This is only Prem stats here. We know he's played a little bit in the Champions League. We know he's played most of his minutes in the Cups. Now, he's played less than a full game, basically, in the Prem over those 9 appearances. So sporadic substitute appearances here and there. Now, that minutes total only makes him 9 clear of Howell from Brighton, who has 80 minutes in the Premier League this season. For Rio's age, or players under 18 in Prem history, he's actually only 55th in minutes accumulated. So Gareth Barry led the way, who was the all-time leader in minutes in the Premier League until last weekend, when big Jimmy Milner, Mr. Ribena himself, broke that record. So a lot of minutes for players like Barry. Fabregas was up there with like 2,000 minutes. Rio, obviously, nowhere near, only 89 minutes so far. So the idea is, obviously, you don't want to overplay him. We've seen even players like Trent, who broke through for us at a very young age, played a lot of football. He's 27, 28 now, Trent, and he is suffering with a lot of injuries, not just this season, but the season before as well. He was getting injured for us more often. These players that play heavy minutes when they're young, I think Michael Owen, even Robbie Fowler to a certain extent, really slowing down with injuries as they get older. You have to be careful and protect your players, and I'm going to urge all of you to remember that when you call for minutes for Rio. That said, at the same time, I do think there's room to play him. This is not Yamal we're talking here, where he's playing 90 minutes every week and we're saying, whoa, slow down. And Yamal was doing that at 15, 16, by the way, which is just insane. We're just asking for the odd start every now and then. And if I was picking the team this weekend, I think I'd pick him on the left wing to start against West Ham. Give him an hour. We're at home. We're against a team in the bottom half. Yes, West Ham have got maybe a bit of confidence going at the minute, but I'd play him. I don't think he can be any worse than what we're seeing in the minute out there on the wings. I'd give him a shot. But that is the Rio talk. And the only other thing I really wanted to bring up about Liverpool before we do the Champions League draw later, obviously, as well, is this one quote from Slot. So still, unbelievably, Liverpool have only scored, I think it's 2 goals in the first half an hour of all of our Prem games so far this season. One was on the first day of the season, and the other was in the first minute against Brighton. Ekatike scoring both of those. We are bad at the start of games. There's no secret about that. And Slaughter got asked about this as well, slow starts. And I just thought he always says something in his pressers that is really confusing to me. And this week, it was this. So he said, okay, it's never the approach to start slow. If you would look, we never drop into a low block, which so many teams do. We never do. We do that. I'm now interjecting. We absolutely do that. When we get a lead, we drop into a low block. We do that. We also do that sometimes, just random spells in games. We'll drop off. We dropped off against Forest in the first half. Like, we do absolutely do that. We try to press for 90 minutes, and we try to create. It's tough against sides of a certain style. I won't describe it. Now, we do try and press, but we certainly don't try and press for 90 minutes. I watched us against Sunderland at Anfield earlier this season. We didn't press at all for the first half. We barely pressed against Forest. Like, this is just not true. Then he went on to say that if he was coming to Anfield as an opposition manager, he'd set his team up to defend and slow the game down, blah, blah, blah. So he knows what's going on, and I get what he's saying. He's saying, like, Liverpool are trying to be an attacking team, but the evidence is there that we don't always do what he's saying. We don't do it. I've highlighted that in my videos this season, so I think any of you who've watched those will agree with me. That is a confusing quote from Arne Slot. And, I just don't like him always talking about this idea that you can't start fast if a team puts their players behind the ball, because we've seen it. We know it can happen. City would beat teams 4-0 in 20 minutes with 11 men behind the ball in their prime. We would do the same. That was a confusing one, and it all comes down to our build-up. Now, I don't think West Ham are going to really press onto us in this game really super high, at least not at the start of the game, for sure. I think they'd be a bit silly to do that. I think they will drop off. But it comes down to our build-up, guys. Like, last week, the build-up was so criminal against Forest. It was just Alisson get the ball, Van Dijk would come take the goal kick and just boot it to Salah, or someone would come and press. We saw how it was. It was like one guy would go here, they'd have another here, Kanate would be here, and then we had our fullbacks were super close. Kirkus maybe a little bit more advanced, and then they had one player here on the midfielders, and this just completely stopped us playing. We just couldn't get out. I mean, obviously they would push up as well. We just could not get out at all. We didn't know what to do. The ball would come over here to Gomez. They would shift across, or Szoboszlai it was at right back. The ball would go long. We'd lose it. This happened countless times. We need, in my opinion, to just bring the midfielders in deeper, find them, find passes to fullbacks. Can we turn? Can we find the number 10? Can we link up together? I just really don't like our build-up, and I hope that I have more positive things to say in this one about our build-up. But let's get West Ham on the board. We're going to quickly touch on West Ham. I haven't really got loads and loads I want to talk about from a West Ham point of view, but I will get them on the board. We'll do them in the next part of the preview. Okay, so West Ham then. Let's go through my predicted lineup for them. I've got Hermansen in goal, Wan-Bissaka at right back, Mavropanos and Disasi at centre back. Juve left back with Mateus Fernandes, Magassa in the middle, Souček just ahead of them as number 10. And then Bowen on the right, Somerville on the left, and Tati Castellanos up front. Now, West Ham are a weird team, in my opinion. One of the weirdest teams in the Premier League. They looked completely dead and buried before January, and now they are actually 7th in the form table. Guess who's 6th? It's the mighty Reds, ladies and gents. They are just behind us in that form table. And if the form table was longer than 5 games, it was instead 6th. I think they'd be even higher because they actually won the 6th game that doesn't count anymore. They got wins in their last 6 against Spurs, Sunderland and Burnley. So not the greatest opposition there. I mean, especially Spurs. They are just, wow, they are bad. And then draws against United and Bournemouth. That's maybe a little bit more respectable. And they almost beat United. I mean, they were this close to beating them. And a narrow loss to Chelsea in the last 6. So definitely improved since January. And I think that is pretty obviously due to some of the new personnel and Nuno getting a hold of them, maybe inspiring the team a little bit. The fans getting behind them. I've never actually seen the London Stadium so loud as it was against United when they managed to just throw away the win at the end. So, yeah, West Ham are a strange side. Paqueta going, I think, has actually helped them. He left, obviously, in January. He was a good player, Paqueta, but I think he had more problems than he was worth. I think he could often just kind of switch off in games and start playing for himself a little bit. I think when you've got this more industrious midfield, Souček, Fernandes, Magassa, it's going to work harder. It's going to be more, I say, ready-made for a relegation battle, maybe. And I think that's shown. That Dizassi's come in. He's definitely helped. They actually haven't conceded a goal with him in the team. 3 clean sheets with him playing. So hopefully we can be the first to score past the mighty Axel Disasi-led West Ham defence. What a weird sentence that is. I mean, they've got some new firepower up front. They've got Castellanos, like I said, is probably going to lead the line in this one. Wilson is still knocking around. His contract was like almost terminated and then it wasn't again. And there's a whole thing. But West Ham's undoubted danger men are on the wings. So Bowen, we know he's the captain. We've all seen Bowen many, many times now in the Premier League. We know what he's all about. He's definitely a threat on the counter-attack. And we're same with Somerville, a name that should be familiar to Liverpool fans, to be honest. He's been in red-hot form for West Ham over recent weeks. And he's probably their most dangerous player at the minute on that left-hand side. And the reason why he should be familiar to Liverpool fans is because he scored the goal when Leeds beat us under Klopp. They beat us at Anfield 1-0, I think it was. And he scored the goal. Now, what I'm hoping is, he's Dutch. So Arne Slot should know all about him. Even more so than normal, because we know Slot loves his Dutchies. So I'm hoping Slot's got the game plan. I'm a little worried that he's on the side where we're going to have our right back. So could it be Gomez, Szoboszlai, whoever it might end up being? They've got to deal with him. He's West Ham's probably their biggest threat. That could be a little bit worrying, but let's be so real. Guys, we can't afford to drop points at home to West Ham. If we want to get Champions League, we just simply can't afford to do so. And I'll tell you why. I mean, yes, West Ham have improved, but these are still some of their stats from this season. So this is a complete contrast of styles between the two sides. Let's move the football back to the middle. That's annoying me there. So West Ham, 19th in possession. They do not get the ball. They do not care. And we do care. We're still first. So 19th in possession for West Ham. They're quite happy to not have the ball or just not good enough to keep it for long periods of time in the game. 18th in clean sheets, and that's with 3 in their last 4 games, I think it is. So that's definitely helped them, and they're still 18th. So not great at keeping the ball out of the net either. 14th in XG, so they don't score all that many goals, but they're not totally disastrous at generating chances. I think the wingers have quality, like I said. So they generate a few chances from set pieces as well. So 14th isn't great, but it's not totally awful. It's not quite relegation level. 16th in shots on target isn't great. 19th in accurate passes is terrible. They don't pass the ball pretty much ever. I mean, you look at this team, it's not really a team built for passing, is it? The wingers are pacey. They want to get on the counter. Souček in your number 10. That says it all, doesn't it? You're not linking up through Souček, using him as what he is, an effective target man, an effective player to get around, you strike and flick balls on, win set pieces, that kind of thing. Sort of like a Myron Fellaini type player. 19th in XG conceded, so giving up lots and lots of XG. Lots of chances for us in this game should be apparent. We should be able to make the most of it and hopefully get a few goals. And that is basically all I want to say about West Ham, to be totally honest. I'm going to talk a little bit about the draw, but first, let's go and do Super 6 before we get into the Champions League draw for the last part of the preview. Okay, Super 6. Still haven't won, still haven't really got close. This shit is impossible, honestly. Liverpool, West Ham. Everyone thinks we're going to win. I also think we're going to win. Oh, God, what score, though? 2-0. I do quite fancy what Kara says there. 2-0, I think, could be the results in that one. Newcastle Everton. I've got to go with a Newcastle win. I watched Everton on Monday. They didn't look like they could score a goal in a million years, to be honest. So I'll go 2-0 again or 2-1. They didn't score on Monday, so I will give them a goal in this one. I think they won't go scoreless for 2 games. I'll go 2-1 to Newcastle there. Leeds, Man City. Oh, I want to say Leeds so much, but it won't be Leeds. It will be City. I quite fancy what the admin says there. 3-1. I think could be the score in that one, so let's go with that. United, Palace. It's got to be United. I can't see them dropping points here, to be honest. Maybe a 1-0 again, but for some reason I just quite fancy them smashing Palace. Like 3-0, I think could be on the cards there, so I'm going to go with that. Fulham, Spurs. Can Fulham get their first win of 2026? We're almost in March. We actually will be in March by the time they play. I'm not going to draw. This could be a draw. Fulham, no, why not? I kind of fancy Fulham there, so we're going to go 2-1. I did a 2-1. Yeah, I did do a 2-1. I think Fulham might win. I go 2-1. And then Arsenal, Chelsea. Wow. A big game this one, because if Arsenal win, obviously helps us. If Chelsea win, helps City and stops Arsenal really winning the league, or at least looking like they might. But I do fancy Arsenal again in this one. I'm going to go fancy a 2-0. Do you know what? Kind of fancy a 1-1. Kind of fancy a 1-1 there, Arsenal, Chelsea. So let's go with that. That's my Super 6. It doesn't matter, does it, really? Because it's impossible. But let's do the Champions League draw before we finish off the preview. Okay, so for those of you that haven't seen the Champions League draw or have seen it and want my thoughts, this is the bracket. So we have Galatasaray in the next round. We could have had Galatasaray or Atletico. If we'd have had Atletico, we'd have been on the nice, easy, happy days side of the draw. This side of the draw is like sunshine and rainbows. This side is like war crimes and anguish over on this side. It's just, they couldn't be more different. Of course, we end up on the war crimes and anguish side. Galatasaray away is going to be literal hell. We've already lost there once this year, and it was a horrible game. So hopefully we do better. I do fancy us, and this is Opta's graph, so it has the probabilities of the Opta supercomputer chance of progression, which honestly I would love to know how they calculate that, but there we go. It reckons Chelsea have more chance of progressing than PSG. That's an interesting one. So if we do progress, we will play Chelsea or PSG, and I think we should progress. I mean, let's be honest, we should progress against Galatasaray, to be honest. And by this point, Alexander Isak might be sniffing fitness. We might be able to bring him back for these latter stages. Wouldn't that be interesting? That certainly would spice things up a bit. I think PSG will go through, so I think it's Liverpool v PSG in this tie, and that's going to be a repeat of last season. I will be supporting Chelsea, that's for damn sure, in the last 16 in this tie. Much rather face them. But Arne Slot, you already know, will be having nightmares, Marcelo Bielsa level night terrors about football, where he's studying every waking minute of his life. The PSG, the probability that we might play PSG after last season. He has not stopped talking about PSG since we played them last year. So if we play them again, I better believe that I hope we win. And if we do, we'll be in the semis all of a sudden, and we'll be playing one of these 4 teams: Real Madrid, Man City, Atalanta, or Bayern Munich. Tough to say, really, isn't it? I mean, who do you fancy, Real or City? I think I'd probably go with City, to be honest. I don't know how fit Mbappe will be. And then Bayern are going to beat Atalanta. So you're looking at City, Bayern maybe, or Real, Bayern. Bayern look really, really good. So I kind of fancy Bayern maybe to come out, and maybe we have to face them in the semis. That's Kane, that's Diaz against us again. Musiala. You know, Wirtz will be playing against a team that really wanted to sign him. It's going to be interesting. And then obviously if you win that, you're in the final. It's a cakewalk, really, isn't it? This whole thing. Arsenal, you can see 85% chance of progressing against Leverkusen, and if they do, they play Sporting Bodo Glimt. It's wild, isn't it? And then if they manage to progress that, if Bodo, the mighty Bodo, don't knock them out, then they'll be playing one of Spurs, which would be hilarious, Atletico, Barca, or Newcastle. So Arsenal have a great chance, and that's reflected on this other slide here, where you can see the probabilities Opta have of who wins the Champions League. So again, this is done by Opta's stats, so this shows the likelihood of advancing at each stage. So the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, the final, and the winner. We are actually third. We are actually favoured third, most likely to win the Champions League. I think we're helped by the fact our quarterfinal odds are so high. Semi-final odds super high though. PSG like being really undervalued for some reason in this model. Like less likely to win it, to win that just a semi-final leg. Sorry, just as likely almost as Newcastle to win the semi-final leg. Like I don't know about that one. PSG a much better side than Newcastle. So I mean obviously. So yeah, tough draw, very tough draw. But if you want to win the Champions League, you have to win against tough teams. That's inevitable. And if we do, you know, we might end up in the final with a game like we had when we won it and we played Spurs. Maybe they weren't the toughest team we played. The toughest was probably Messi's Barcelona in the semi-finals. So there's hope, there's optimism. There's going to be some big games. Let's get past Galatasaray first of all, because the way we played against Forest, we'll be lucky to do so. So hopefully that goes well. That's going to end today's preview for West Ham with a little bit of Champions League flavour just added on top. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I really do hope you did enjoy it. And if you did enjoy, please do click that like button. As always, we're trying to get to 35 likes on the videos, which you have been smashing recently. So thank you very, very much for doing so. We smashed 450 subscribers as well. So I'm so happy about that. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's make that final push now to 500, which is insane, honestly. So let's make that push to 500. That would be amazing to say that we got there. And podcast listeners, 5-star rating and reviews. You guys all know what to do by now. I'll be back, of course, with the ratings tomorrow after the game. So I will speak to you all then. Until then, everyone, hope you have a really good weekend. Hope Liverpool gets a nice win against West Ham and we can have party ratings together tomorrow night. Speak to you then, guys. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.